Imagine waking up one morning feeling like the world is pressing down on your chest. Your mind races with worries. Your heart pounds for reasons you cannot even name, and a voice whispers that you are not enough. Many of us live like this every day, trapped in a cycle of anxiety, letting fear dictate our choices, our relationships, and even our happiness. But today I want to tell you something simple yet powerful. Anxiety is not your enemy. Anxiety is a signal, a messenger that asks you to slow down, to pay attention, and to reconnect with yourself. The first step is awareness. Notice the tightness in your body, the racing thoughts, and the restless energy. Do not push them away or try to ignore them. Sit with them, breathe with them, and understand that they are part of you, not the entirety of you. When you treat anxiety like an unwelcome guest, it grows. But when you treat it like a curious child needing guidance, it softens. Awareness is the doorway to freedom. Next, shift your focus from the future to this moment. Anxiety thrives on what-ifs, on imagining disasters that have not yet happened. Life exists only in the present. Feel the weight of your feet on the ground, the rhythm of your breath, the sounds around you. When you anchor yourself in now, the storms in your mind begin to calm. Happiness is not found in solving every problem or controlling every outcome. Happiness is found in the acceptance of this moment exactly as it is. Movement is medicine. Walk, stretch, dance, or simply move your body in any way that feels alive. The body carries tension that the mind cannot release alone. When you allow yourself to move, you release the tight grip of fear. Even a few minutes of mindful movement can reset your nervous system, making space for joy and clarity. Speak to yourself with kindness. Anxiety thrives on self-criticism, on the harsh voice that says you are weak, unworthy, or incapable. Replace that voice with one of compassion. Speak as you would to a dear friend, slowly, gently, and with unwavering support. The words you tell yourself shape the reality you live in. Softness and patience towards yourself create a fertile ground for happiness. And finally, take action, however small it may be. Anxiety can paralyze, making even the simplest choices feel impossible. Break the cycle by taking one tiny step toward what you desire. Smile at a stranger. Make a phone call you have been postponing, or sit in silence and listen to your heart. Every step, no matter how small, is a declaration that you choose life over fear. Anxiety is often misunderstood as a weakness, something to hide or fight against. But the truth is far more nuanced. It is not a flaw, it is a signal, a messenger from within that something in your life demands attention. The first step in dealing with anxiety is to acknowledge it fully, to meet it with awareness and without judgment. Many people live their lives trying to suppress anxious thoughts, telling themselves they should be strong enough to ignore the restlessness in their mind and the tightness in their chest. But suppressing anxiety is like trying to hold water in your hands. No matter how tightly you grip, it slips through your fingers and creates tension in places you did not even notice. Instead, begin by simply noticing it. Allow yourself to say, internally, I feel anxious, and that is okay. This simple acknowledgement is powerful because it shifts the relationship you have with your mind. It turns anxiety from an enemy to a companion, from a threat to a guide. When you acknowledge anxiety, you are giving yourself permission to feel. You are telling yourself that your experience is valid and that your emotions are worthy of attention. Often, people try to bypass anxiety because they fear it will overwhelm them, or because they believe they must always appear in control. But the more you deny it, the stronger it becomes. It thrives in darkness, growing louder when you avoid it. By shining a light of awareness on it, you begin to disarm it. You start to see that anxiety is not a permanent state, but a wave that rises and falls, a signal that you can respond to rather than react to. This distinction is crucial. Reacting to anxiety often means letting it dictate your actions, making choices from a place of fear. Responding, on the other hand, is a conscious act of awareness and self-mastery. Acknowledgement also allows you to explore the root causes of your anxiety. Ask yourself gently, without judgment, what is triggering this feeling? Is it a fear of the future, a worry about how others perceive you, or a self-imposed pressure to succeed? When you identify the source, anxiety loses much of its mystery and power. It becomes something to understand rather than something to fight blindly. Take your time with this process. There is no rush. Anxiety does not demand instant solutions. It requires attention, patience, and compassion. As you observe it, notice the physical sensations in your body, the tightness in your chest, the fluttering in your stomach, the tension in your shoulders. These sensations are not punishments. They are messages from your body telling you to slow down, breathe, and reconnect with yourself. Another essential aspect of acknowledging anxiety is accepting that it is part of being human. Everyone experiences anxiety at some point. It does not make you weak or incapable. The difference lies in how you relate to it. By recognizing anxiety as a natural response rather than a personal failing, you reduce the self-criticism that often compounds the feeling. You can remind yourself that experiencing anxiety is not a flaw but a sign of awareness, a part of your emotional landscape that can teach you about your limits, desires, and needs. Acceptance does not mean resignation. It does not mean letting anxiety control your life. It means seeing it clearly, understanding it, and using that understanding as a foundation for change. When you acknowledge anxiety fully, you also open the door to strategies that bring relief. Awareness allows you to use techniques such as mindful breathing, grounding exercises, and gentle movement more effectively because you are responding to something you have recognized rather than something that has taken you by surprise. It empowers you to create a sense of safety within yourself, to remind yourself that you can survive moments of fear and emerge stronger. The very act of acknowledgement builds resilience. It tells your mind and body that you are present, that you are aware, and that you are capable of managing what comes. Ultimately, acknowledging anxiety is about reclaiming your power. It is about seeing that the feeling is temporary, that it does not define you, and that it can coexist with joy, clarity, and peace. The moment you begin to accept its presence, you take the first step toward living a life not dictated by fear, but guided by conscious choice. You create a foundation where happiness is possible, because you are no longer in conflict with your own mind. Recognition transforms anxiety from a cage into a doorway. It is the first step, and it is the step that begins the journey toward freedom, clarity, and a truly joyful life. Anxiety often lives in the future. It thrives on what-ifs, on scenarios that may never come to pass, and on a mind that races ahead of the present moment. The simple truth is that life exists only in the now. The past is gone. The future has not arrived, and yet so much of our fear is tied to these invisible spaces. Learning to focus on the present is one of the most powerful tools for managing anxiety and beginning to live a happy life. It is not always easy. The mind is trained to predict, to plan, to anticipate danger, and while this instinct has kept humans alive for thousands of years, it often becomes a source of unnecessary suffering in modern life. Anxiety grows when the mind continuously drifts into possibilities, exaggerating outcomes and creating tension where none exists. By grounding yourself in the present, you interrupt this cycle and reclaim control over your thoughts and emotions. The first step to focusing on the present is observation. Notice what is around you, the details that are often overlooked. Feel the weight of your body on the chair or floor. Notice the texture of the air against your skin. Listen to the subtle sounds that fill your environment. When you truly see and feel what is happening now, your mind begins to settle. You may notice how often your thoughts have been elsewhere, projecting into a future filled with worry. This simple act of noticing, without judgment or resistance, is meditation in its most practical form. It creates a pause, a space between you and your racing mind. This pause is where choice exists, where you can decide not to be swept away by anxious thoughts. Breathing is a bridge to the present. Conscious, slow, and deliberate breaths anchor you to the now. When you inhale deeply and exhale fully, you invite your nervous system to shift from a state of tension to one of calm. Many people underestimate the power of breath, but it is the most accessible tool we have. Each breath is a moment to return, a reminder that life is happening in this instant, and that you have the power to participate in it fully. With each inhale and exhale, you remind yourself that the present is safe and the future can wait. Another key practice is mindful engagement in daily activities. Whether you are washing dishes, walking to work, or listening to someone speak, bring your full attention to what you are doing. Notice the sensations, the movement, the rhythm, and the small details that often go unnoticed. Anxiety thrives on distraction and the mind's tendency to race ahead. By immersing yourself completely in the present, you create a shield against fear and rumination. Over time, these moments accumulate, and your overall sense of presence strengthens. You begin to experience life as it is rather than as a projection of worry and uncertainty. Focusing on the present also requires letting go of the illusion of control. Anxiety often arises because we believe we can predict or manage everything. In reality, many aspects of life are beyond our control, and trying to dominate them only increases tension. Accepting this truth is liberating. When you focus on what is immediately before you rather than obsessing over what might happen, you conserve your energy for what truly matters. You learn to act where you can and release what is out of your hands. This does not mean passivity. It means clarity and the ability to respond with presence and wisdom rather than panic and fear. Gratitude is another way to root yourself in the now. When you consciously acknowledge what you have, the people around you, and the simple moments that bring joy, your attention naturally shifts away from anxious anticipation. Gratitude allows you to see life as it is, to find value and beauty in the immediate, and to realize that happiness is not a distant goal but a present experience. Even small things, a warm cup of tea, a smile from a stranger, the sunlight filtering through a window, can remind you of the richness of this moment and the potential for joy that exists here. Focusing on the present is a practice, not a destination. Your mind will wander, your thoughts will drift, and anxiety may return. But each time you gently bring yourself back, you strengthen the connection to now. You teach your mind that the present is safe, that it is enough, and that life can be experienced fully in each moment. By embracing the present with awareness, with breath, with gratitude, and with mindful attention, you create the foundation for a life where anxiety loses its grip and happiness becomes accessible. The moment you begin to live fully in the now, you discover that fear of the future no longer dictates your actions, and joy, clarity, and peace can emerge naturally from the simple act of being present. Breathing is one of the simplest yet most profound tools we have to manage anxiety and invite calm into our lives. Yet, it is often overlooked. We breathe automatically every moment, but rarely do we notice the depth, rhythm, or quality of our breath. Anxiety disrupts this natural flow, making breaths shallow, rapid, and tense, which in turn feeds the very fear we wish to escape. Conscious, mindful breathing is a way to interrupt this cycle. It reconnects us to our bodies, grounds us in the present, and signals to our nervous system that it is safe to relax. The power of breath lies in its immediacy. You do not need a perfect environment, a specific time, or advanced tools to begin. Right now, with a simple awareness of your inhale and exhale, you can start to calm the storm within. The first step is to simply notice your breath. Feel the air as it enters your nostrils, travels down into your lungs, and fills your chest and abdomen. Notice the rise and fall of your body with each inhale and exhale. For someone experiencing anxiety, this may feel awkward at first, as if you are drawing attention to something you normally take for granted. That is precisely the point. When you focus your attention on your breath, you pull yourself away from racing thoughts, worries about the future, or regrets from the past. You create a point of presence, an anchor in the moment that you can return to whenever your mind begins to spiral. Awareness of the breath is not about controlling it, at least not initially. It is about observation, about becoming intimate with the natural rhythm of life inside you. Once you have noticed your breath, you can begin to guide it gently. Inhale slowly and deeply, feeling your lungs expand fully. Then exhale with intention, releasing tension and tightness from your body. Some people find counting helpful. Inhale for 4 counts, hold for 2. Exhale for 6. But the exact numbers matter less than the awareness and steadiness you cultivate. Each conscious breath acts like a signal to your body that it is safe, that there is no immediate threat, and that it can release the tight grip of fear. Over time, this practice trains your nervous system to respond to stress more calmly. What was once a reaction of panic becomes a response of presence and control. Breathing also creates a bridge between body and mind. Anxiety is often experienced as racing thoughts, yet the body carries a memory of fear in tight muscles, tense shoulders, or a pounding heart. By focusing on the breath, you integrate body and mind, allowing physical tension to soften and mental clarity to emerge. It is remarkable how simply returning to the rhythm of your own breath can reduce the chatter in your head. You become grounded, centered, and reminded that life is happening right here, right now, rather than in imagined scenarios that have not yet arrived. Incorporating breath into daily life can transform not just moments of anxiety, but your overall experience of living. Begin each day with a few minutes of deep, mindful breathing, noticing the freshness of the air and the vitality it brings to your body. During moments of stress, pause and breathe, even for just a minute, and observe the shift within you. Over time, breathing becomes a tool that works in the background, stabilizing your emotions, improving focus, and creating resilience against the uncertainties that naturally arise in life. It is a practice that requires no external validation, no special equipment, only your attention and willingness to be present with yourself. Breath is also a way to cultivate gratitude and connection. With each inhale, you receive life. With each exhale, you release what no longer serves you. This rhythm reminds you that you are alive, that you are capable of navigating difficult emotions, and that even in the midst of anxiety, there is a constant flow of support from within. You begin to recognize that anxiety does not define you, that you can observe it, feel it, and let it pass like a cloud in the sky, all while your breath remains steady, your anchor in the present. The power of mindful breathing lies in its simplicity, accessibility, and immediacy. It is a practice that anyone can do, anywhere, at any time, and its effects ripple outward, creating calm, clarity, and confidence in your ability to manage fear. Through conscious breath, you reclaim control over your body and mind, turning anxiety from a dominating force into a temporary visitor that can be observed and released. When you breathe with awareness, you open a door to a life that is less reactive, more peaceful, and profoundly present. The act of mindful breathing is not just a technique. It is a practice of self-care, self-awareness, and self-mastery. By returning to your breath consistently, you create a foundation for calm, resilience, and joy, and you begin to experience life as it is meant to be lived, fully and freely. Movement is one of the most natural ways to release anxiety and reconnect with a sense of calm and joy, yet it is often underestimated. The body and mind are intricately connected, and when anxiety grips the mind, it often manifests as tension in the body, tight shoulders, a racing heart, shallow breathing, or restless energy. Ignoring these physical sensations only allows anxiety to build and intensify. Engaging in intentional movement provides an outlet for this trapped energy, helping to restore balance and clarity. It is not necessary to engage in intense workouts or rigorous routines, even simple, mindful movement can have profound effects on the nervous system and emotional state. Walking is perhaps the most accessible form of movement, yet it is often overlooked as a powerful tool to calm the mind. A slow, purposeful walk allows you to reconnect with your surroundings, your body, and your breath. With each step, you become more grounded, feeling the weight of your feet on the earth and the rhythm of motion through your legs. As your body moves, your mind has space to release tension and anxious thoughts. Walking outside, in particular, allows you to connect with nature. The warmth of the sun, the texture of the ground beneath you, the sounds and colors of the world around you, which can further soothe the nervous system. Even a few minutes of mindful walking each day can provide a profound shift in perspective and emotional balance. Stretching and gentle movement are also highly effective in managing anxiety. When the body is tense, the mind remains restless. By consciously stretching, you signal to your body that it is safe to relax. Shoulders, neck, back, and jaw are common areas where tension accumulates. Slowly opening these areas with mindful attention allows stored stress to release. Yoga, Tai Chi, or simple stretching routines provide both physical relief and a mental anchor. The act of moving slowly, focusing on sensation, and synchronizing breath with motion creates a meditative experience that eases anxious energy and cultivates presence. For some, more vigorous activities such as running, dancing, or martial arts can serve as a powerful outlet for anxiety. Intense movement channels restless energy, producing endorphins that naturally uplift mood. The body responds to movement with chemical signals that reduce stress hormones, elevate energy, and increase a sense of well-being. Beyond the physical benefits, this type of movement also provides a sense of accomplishment and empowerment. It reminds you that you are not a passive observer of your emotions, but an active participant in shaping your mental and physical state. Each step, each motion, each beat of exertion reinforces that you are capable, alive, and resilient. Movement also helps regulate the nervous system. Anxiety often triggers the fight or flight response, leaving the body in a heightened state of alertness. Intentional movement acts as a release valve, allowing the nervous system to reset. When you walk, stretch, or move rhythmically, your body can discharge excess adrenaline and cortisol, reducing the physical symptoms of anxiety. This restoration creates space for clearer thinking, emotional balance, and a more grounded perspective. Over time, consistent movement teaches the body and mind that anxiety does not have to dominate, that tension can be released, and that calm can be cultivated through deliberate action. In addition to physical benefits, movement strengthens the mind's resilience. When you engage in regular activity, you reinforce the principle that small, consistent actions lead to meaningful change. Each step or motion becomes a reminder that you are capable of overcoming inertia, whether in your body or your emotions. Movement becomes a practice of presence, discipline, and self-care. It is a tangible way to say to yourself, I am willing to act for my well-being. I am capable of change, and I can create space for joy even in the midst of anxiety. Movement can be combined with mindfulness to amplify its effects. Paying attention to the sensations in your muscles, the rhythm of your breath, or the environment around you turns physical activity into a form of meditation. This combination addresses anxiety on both physical and mental levels, creating a holistic approach to well-being. Over time, the body becomes not only a tool for release, but also a sanctuary, a space where the mind and emotions can find relief and clarity. By incorporating movement into your daily life, you begin to see anxiety not as a permanent state, but as a signal to act, to reconnect with your body, and to release energy that has accumulated in unhelpful ways. Movement reminds you that your body is your ally, that it can support your mental and emotional health, and that happiness is accessible through simple, consistent practice. When you allow yourself to move, to stretch, to walk, or dance, you reclaim your body from the grip of anxiety, creating space for calm, clarity, and joy. Through movement, you reconnect with life itself and take one more vital step toward living fully and freely. Self-compassion is one of the most transformative tools in dealing with anxiety and creating a foundation for a happy life. Yet it is often overlooked. Many people struggle with anxiety, not only because of external pressures, but also because of the inner voice that constantly criticizes, judges, and diminishes them. This voice tells you that you are weak, that you are failing, or that you should be able to handle everything perfectly. When anxiety is paired with self-criticism, it intensifies, creating a cycle where fear feeds shame and shame feeds fear. Cultivating self-compassion interrupts this cycle. It teaches you to treat yourself with the same kindness, understanding, and patience that you would extend to a dear friend. The first step in cultivating self-compassion is awareness. Notice the thoughts that arise when anxiety appears. Observe how you speak to yourself internally and recognize patterns of harsh judgment or self-blame. Many people do not realize how critical they are to themselves because it has become so habitual. Awareness does not mean judgment, it means noticing. By observing your internal dialogue, you create a space where change becomes possible. You realize that these thoughts are not absolute truths. They are habits, patterns formed over years, often based on fear rather than reality. Awareness is the first step in reclaiming your mind from the grip of anxiety. Next comes acceptance. Accept that anxiety is part of your current experience and that it does not make you flawed. Self-compassion involves embracing your human imperfections with gentleness rather than resistance. This does not mean resigning to anxiety or allowing it to control your life. It means acknowledging that anxiety exists without adding layers of self-punishment. When you accept your feelings instead of fighting them or criticizing yourself for having them, you reduce the additional suffering that comes from resistance. You recognize that it is normal to feel anxious at times and that these emotions are part of being alive. Acceptance softens the inner environment, creating room for clarity and action. Kindness toward yourself can be cultivated through deliberate practices. Speak to yourself in supportive and encouraging ways. Replace "I am not enough" with statements like "I am doing my best," and "that is enough," or "this moment is difficult, and I can navigate it." These small changes in language have profound effects on your brain and nervous system. Words carry energy, and when spoken kindly, they signal safety and reassurance. Over time, this internal dialogue becomes a source of strength rather than a source of fear. You begin to trust yourself, knowing that even in moments of struggle, you can be a steady and compassionate companion to your own experience. Self-compassion also involves caring for your body and mind. Anxiety often manifests physically through tension, restlessness, or fatigue. Treating yourself with compassion means giving yourself permission to rest, to breathe, to move, and to nourish your body with what it needs. It is easy to push through anxiety as if strength is measured by endurance alone. But this approach often backfires. True resilience is built through balance, self-care, and gentle attention. By prioritizing your well-being and responding to your needs with compassion, you create a supportive environment where anxiety can be managed rather than amplified. Another important aspect of self-compassion is reframing mistakes and setbacks. Anxiety often magnifies the fear of failure, making every misstep seem catastrophic. When you approach yourself with kindness, you understand that mistakes are not evidence of inadequacy, but opportunities to learn and grow. You can say to yourself, "It is okay to stumble. I will try again." This perspective reduces the harsh self-judgment that fuels anxiety and encourages courage, persistence, and resilience. compassion also deepens your connection with others. When you treat yourself with understanding and patience, you naturally extend that same empathy outward. Anxiety often makes people feel isolated, as if no one else could possibly understand their inner struggle. Compassion toward yourself reminds you that everyone faces challenges and fears, fostering a sense of shared humanity. This connection diminishes loneliness and reinforces the understanding that anxiety is part of life, not a mark of failure. By practicing self-compassion consistently, you create a safe inner environment where anxiety can exist without overwhelming you. You learn to respond to fear with patience, gentleness, and clarity rather than with criticism and panic. Over time, this practice reshapes your relationship with yourself and with life. You realize that happiness is not the absence of fear, but the ability to navigate it with understanding and care. You begin to live with courage, resilience, and a quiet joy that grows from treating yourself as you truly deserve to be treated. Self-compassion is not a luxury, it is a necessity. It transforms the way you experience anxiety, softens the harshness of self-judgment, and opens the door to lasting happiness. By embracing yourself fully, with kindness and patience, you create a foundation for a life that is more peaceful, balanced, and joyful. Taking action, even in the smallest of steps, is one of the most powerful ways to break free from anxiety and begin living a happy life. Anxiety often immobilizes us, making even the simplest choices feel overwhelming. The mind becomes trapped in a cycle of what-ifs and fears, imagining countless scenarios and magnifying every potential mistake. In this state, it is easy to feel powerless, as if life is happening to you rather than through you. Yet, it is precisely in these moments that action, no matter how small, becomes a transformative tool. Action interrupts the cycle of fear and builds momentum, reminding you that you are capable of moving forward despite uncertainty. The first step is recognizing that action does not have to be monumental. It is not necessary to make huge life changes or solve every problem immediately. Even the smallest gesture, a smile, a phone call, writing down your thoughts, or stepping outside, can be an act of courage. These tiny steps accumulate over time, creating a pattern of engagement with life rather than avoidance. When anxiety makes you feel stuck, action is the bridge that connects intention to reality. Each step, no matter how small, reinforces that you have agency and that fear does not have to dictate your life. Action is also a way to reclaim your power from the mind. Anxiety thrives when we feel passive, when we ruminate and let fear dominate our thoughts. By taking deliberate steps, you shift from being a passive observer to an active participant. This shift is subtle but profound. It reminds you that while you cannot control every outcome, you can control your choices and responses. Action grounds you in the present, creating tangible evidence that you are capable, resilient, and resourceful. Each completed step, however minor, builds confidence and diminishes the perceived power of anxiety. It is important to approach action with kindness toward yourself. Anxiety often tells you that you must do everything perfectly, that one misstep will lead to disaster. This expectation is unrealistic and only deepens fear. Taking action from a place of self-compassion means accepting that mistakes are part of the process and that progress matters more than perfection. You can take steps forward while acknowledging your humanity without self-criticism or judgment. This mindset transforms action from a source of stress into a source of empowerment. Breaking tasks into manageable pieces is a practical strategy for overcoming paralysis. Anxiety often magnifies tasks, making them seem insurmountable. By dividing a large goal into small, achievable steps, you create a clear path forward. Completing each step provides a sense of accomplishment, reinforcing momentum and encouraging further action. It is not the size of the step that matters, but the consistency of movement. Progress, no matter how gradual, chips away at fear and builds a sense of capability. Action is also about embracing discomfort. Anxiety often arises because we fear uncertainty, rejection, or failure. Taking steps, even when uncomfortable, teaches the mind and body that fear does not need to control behavior. Each time you move despite anxiety, you expand your tolerance for discomfort and increase resilience. You learn that life continues to flow, that challenges can be navigated, and that joy is accessible even amid uncertainty. Courage is not the absence of fear. It is the choice to act despite it. Engaging in action also reinforces the connection between intention and reality. Anxiety keeps us trapped in thoughts and hypotheticals, but action creates tangible results. Making a decision, sending an email, starting a project, or reaching out to someone transforms possibility into reality. Each step builds a bridge between your inner world and the external world, reminding you that you are capable of shaping your life. This alignment between thought and action strengthens confidence, reduces fear, and fosters a sense of control over your own journey. Ultimately, consistent action creates momentum that carries you forward. Anxiety may never disappear completely, but when met with deliberate steps, it loses its power to immobilize. Each step taken, each decision made, each effort applied becomes evidence of your strength and resilience. Life is no longer something that happens to you, it becomes something you actively participate in. By taking small, intentional actions every day, you cultivate courage, confidence, and joy, transforming anxiety from a barrier into a teacher and guide. Taking action is the bridge from fear to freedom. It reminds you that you are capable, resilient, and alive. Each step forward, no matter how small, is a declaration that you choose life, growth, and happiness over fear. Gratitude and joy are two of the most overlooked yet transformative tools in dealing with anxiety and building a happy life. Anxiety often traps us in a narrow focus on what is wrong, what could go wrong, or what we fear might happen. It amplifies scarcity, doubt, and worry, making it difficult to see anything beyond the immediate tension. Gratitude shifts this perspective, opening the mind and heart to the abundance, beauty, and possibility that already exist in life. It does not ignore challenges or dismiss fear, but it gently redirects attention to what is present, what is meaningful, and what nurtures a sense of well-being. Through gratitude, even the smallest moments, sunlight spilling through a window, the taste of a warm meal, the laughter of a friend, become sources of joy and grounding. The practice of gratitude begins with awareness. Often, we move through our days on autopilot, focused on tasks, worries, and obligations, without pausing to notice the simple blessings that surround us. By intentionally noticing what you have, you shift your attention from lack to abundance. This can be as simple as acknowledging a supportive friend, a moment of peace, or even your own resilience in facing challenges. Writing these moments down, speaking them aloud, or quietly reflecting on them creates a conscious recognition of the good that exists in your life. Over time, this awareness rewires the brain to notice positivity more readily, reducing the grip of anxiety and creating a foundation for sustained happiness. Gratitude and joy are deeply intertwined. When you focus on what you are thankful for, joy naturally arises. Joy is not dependent on external circumstances. It is a choice, a perspective, and a practice. It emerges when attention is drawn to the richness of experience rather than the scarcity of fear. Anxiety thrives on what is missing, on uncertainty, and on imagined disasters. Gratitude disrupts this pattern, reminding you that life contains beauty, connection, and possibility in every moment. Each acknowledgement of something positive reinforces a sense of stability, hope, and emotional resilience. Another aspect of gratitude is its power to reframe challenges. Anxiety often magnifies problems, making them appear insurmountable. By practicing gratitude, you create space to see lessons, growth, or hidden blessings within difficulties. Even in the midst of fear, you can find small things to appreciate. The strength it took to face a difficult situation, the kindness of someone who supported you, or the simple fact that you continue to persevere. This reframing does not deny struggle, but allows you to approach it with a balanced perspective, reducing the intensity of anxiety and fostering emotional flexibility. Gratitude also strengthens connections with others. Anxiety can isolate, making you feel alone or misunderstood. Expressing gratitude to others, thanking a friend, acknowledging a colleague, or appreciating a loved one, deepens relationships and reinforces social support. Humans are wired for connection, and these bonds are a natural buffer against fear and worry. The act of recognizing and valuing the people around you not only cultivates joy, but also creates a network of mutual care that sustains emotional well-being. Incorporating joy into daily life is equally essential. Joy is found not only in extraordinary moments, but in the ordinary rhythms of life. Listening to music, walking in nature, savoring a meal, laughing with someone you care about, or engaging in a hobby. These are all ways to invite joy into your day. Anxiety often convinces us that happiness must be earned, that it is conditional upon perfection or achievement. Joy, however, is available in the present moment. By intentionally seeking out and celebrating small pleasures, you cultivate an emotional environment where happiness can flourish despite uncertainty. Gratitude and joy are practices, not destinations. They require consistent attention and effort, especially in the face of anxiety. Moments of fear or doubt will arise, but when you have cultivated a habit of noticing what is good, of appreciating the present, and of embracing simple pleasures, these moments become less overwhelming. Gratitude and joy create resilience, providing a counterbalance to worry and tension. They remind you that even amid challenges, life contains beauty, connection, and meaning. Ultimately, gratitude and joy transform the lens through which you experience life. They shift focus from what is lacking or feared to what is abundant and meaningful. By cultivating these qualities daily, you weaken the power of anxiety, strengthen emotional resilience, and open your heart to the richness of the present moment. Life becomes less about surviving fear and more about embracing the fullness of experience, finding happiness not in distant goals but in the here and now. When you consciously cultivate gratitude and joy, you create a life where anxiety no longer dominates, and happiness becomes a natural, accessible presence in each moment. In the journey of dealing with anxiety and creating a happy life, every step we take matters. From acknowledging our fears to grounding ourselves in the present, from mindful breathing to intentional movement, from self-compassion to taking small actions, and from embracing gratitude to inviting joy into our lives. Each practice is a reminder that happiness is not a distant destination, but a choice and a practice that begins within. Anxiety may visit us, but it does not define us. We have the power to respond with awareness, courage, and love for ourselves. Life becomes richer, brighter, and more meaningful when we embrace these tools and allow ourselves to live fully in the present. I encourage each of you to take these lessons to heart, practice them consistently, and trust in your own ability to navigate challenges. May you find calm in moments of fear, strength in moments of doubt, and joy in every moment you allow yourself to truly live. Good luck on your journey, and thank you for sharing this time with me. Your willingness to face anxiety and choose happiness is the first step toward a life of freedom and fulfillment.